talked about this day for a long time, and it's here.
It's time! It's time! Let's go!
Don't leave today disappointed! I'm ready right now, let's go!
Give me something light a cigarette just so I can breathe.
The Lombardi Trophy has a red and gold reflection! Time that ball come your way, make your play! And I'm telling you, we gonna be out there celebrating being dogs. Have fun, hungry dogs!
On the move, lets it fly. Oh, catch! Oh, what a catch!
5 seconds now.
Patterson splits it. Goodbye.
Looking, firing, end zone! Oh, what a catch by it! He's in bounds! He's going! 1 will 30, 20, he will score!
Breaking a tackle and taking it past midfield. An opening kickoff return.
Jacobs with running room right up the middle. Jacobs is on his way. The Raiders are going to win this game.
From the
What is going on, my friends? We are back like we never left. This is your podcast for the Innsbrooke Fantasy Football League. And I'm not in my new setup just yet, but that's coming soon. Working on my shed, getting it flipped into a full-fledged studio for my podcast stuff that I do and all my sports gambling things I do. But this isn't going to be the most long episode, maybe not the best episode that I've ever done, but I got to give the people what they want, and that's at least an episode so we can get you guys going through week one. Now, we went down to Old Gulf Shores for this year's fantasy draft. It was a destination year, and it was a great trip. Wonderful time. Great people as always. Thank you guys for always allowing me to be a part of it and getting to do stupid stuff like this to entertain y'all for a few minutes every day, every week. And we'll be back next year. Maybe next year I'll shoot a live. If I'm not drafting for somebody, maybe I'll do a live podcast from that day. We'll do some videos and do some editing and make a big deal about it. It's something special to have a friend group like this and especially some core memories that you grew up with. But yeah, so shout out to everyone. Now, let's get into it. So we're going to go through some bold predictions. I'm not going to have all the things popped up on the bottom of the screen. It takes too long to get it out. We're going to have some bold predictions for you guys, as well as a duck race at the end that's going to predict who's going to go on to win this year. I'm going to go through the matchups this week and kind of go through that. And then I'll kind of predict who I think is going to win it all. Now, let's get started. Now, week one, it's kind of hard to tell the matchups in week one. You know, we're starting off strong and hopefully not finishing weak. But you never know. That's because you never know who you're going to play. So, first game that we're going to cover is the Slobber Knockers, Mr. Ken, the Innsbrook powerhouse, one of the legends of the league, as you could say. Some people don't like his power. Some people do. You know, there's a power struggle between him and Mr. Eric Wallen, and maybe one day they'll have to sort those things out together. But right now, Mr. Ken holds that torch. Mr. Ken is playing Chubby Chasin', old Zach this week. Right now, this is supposed to, as NFL's predictions, as we see throughout the boards, brought to you and presented by Caesar Sportsbook. Not my favorite sportsbook app, but it's brought to you and sponsored by that. The current prediction is Slobberknockers to win 122.23 to Chubby Chasin's 120.44. Now, this is a close game. It's going to come down to a lot of things. Does Joe Burrow play? I think Joe Burrow plays. Two great quarterbacks in this matchup, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts. From a fantasy perspective, you can't go wrong with Jalen Hurts. You've got James Conner, Christian McCaffrey, Nick Chubb, Miles Sanders, guys like that are in here. What is Alexander Mattison going to do? That's been the biggest question of all. Is he going to step up? Is he going to show out? We don't know. What will Mattison do? I think that'll be a big say-so for Mr. Ken. Tonight he's got Amon-Ra St. Brown playing. Predicted to get 18.4 points. Does he cover that? We'll find out if Jared Goff is him. Or is it Hendon Hooker time or Lord Theodore Bridgewater? We'll figure that out too. If I'm looking at the charts here and I'm trying to predict it, it's kind of crazy to see this. But Slobberknockers, as Joe Burrow is his quarterback, I mean, you got to look over at Chubby Chasin' with Jamar Chase over there. So Joe's going to throw Jamar the ball most likely. So they kind of void each other out a little bit until Jamar gets 2 or 3 touchdowns. I do like the Christian McCaffrey running back room. I'm a little bit I'm wondering about this Nico Collins play. I guess it's just what you got. Will Nico be the guy that's playing a tough Ravens defense? If I'm predicting this one, this game is as close as it looks. I think it'll genuinely come down to more consistency. And in my opinion, the more consistent team right now, because there's so many question marks with Nico Collins, check, Alexander Mattison on the other side of the ball there. I'm going to go with week 1, Chubby Chasin' beating Mr. Ken. I love you, Mr. Ken, but that's just what I'm predicting right here. So that is the first matchup of the day. The second matchup is That's What CD Said. We got Wood versus America's Team, Hunter. 2 Dallas theme-based teams. I love it. Gets me excited. Just hits me in my feels. I don't know what to do.
And the only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys? Yeah!
Unfortunately for both these teams, if you're riding on Cowboys, good thing you're not having to use them during the actual playoffs and just fantasy playoffs, so you'll be fine. Right now, this game is looking like Hunter is projected to win 114-109 in another close matchup through week 1. You've got the battle of Trevor Lawrence and Daniel Jones. Is Saquon ready to roll? Another question mark for Hunter. Rachaad White, what is he going to be about? I mean, Baker's at quarterback. Is he gonna help, hurt? You never know. Play action's Baker's thing if they run a lot of play action. Great matchup of guys. I think this is going to come down to a couple different factors. Is George Pickens really him? I don't know. He makes some great pass interference catches in practice against his teammates, but I'd love to see in the game. Is Kyle Pitts going to bounce back? Is Kyle Pitts there? But on the other side, you got the question of George Kittle. Is he going to stay healthy this game? You never know. There's a tight end is a toss-up in this one. I think the biggest thing is Jamal Williams. Is his usage going to be the same as it is in New Orleans as it was in Detroit? That'll be a big question mark there. If he's scoring those touchdowns, that is going to help. What is OBJ going to do? Lots of questions here. Another close matchup. It's hard to predict who's going to win this one. I like the running back room better on America's team. I like the receiver room better on That's What CD Said. This is a full-point PPR league. So that being said, I'm going to ride with That's What CD Said. The returning champion Wood in this one. We'll see what happens. Your next game to predict is ETN, phone home, Greg, my poker buddy. You know, my guy. He helped me through some hard times. He helped me through the struggles on that Gulf Shores trip, but we got through it. I told him and everything. Probably not the wisest decision when you're playing poker, but I did it. And it's versus the meme machine, old Jonathan Freebus. And let's see what we got here. Right now, this game is predicted to be close. Greg is expected to win 100-97 versus old Freeb. You got some question marks at quarterback. Geno versus Justin. Is Justin Fields going to step up and be a factor this year? Is Geno going to return to that same kind of glory that he had last year? Nobody knows. You got Jahmyr Gibbs and Derrick Henry for Mean Machine. The running back room of Alabama there, it looks like, versus Etienne and Cook. I like Etienne and I like Cook, but Cook is a question mark to me right now. I got to see how his usage is going to be with Breece Hall, Aaron Rodgers. You just don't know. You got Calvin Ridley, Tyreek Hill, DJ Moore. Man, what a game. I know this has Greg predicted to win, and I love you, Greg. I'll tell you anytime. But right now, I'm going to go with the Mean Machine to pull the upset in this one based off of these predicting boards of NFL's Fantasy, brought to you by Caesar Sportsbook. Next, you got throw some Debos on that. Pawn versus the Huss, Samson. Now, I got to be honest with you. This is going to be a tight matchup as well. Pawn is predicted to win 111 to 109. Now, the real question for Pawn is Russ going to ride or is Russ going to die? Because Sean Payton ain't playing his crap. It's just quite simple. He's told him, quit being this little jolly, cheery, weird dude. Who knows? But I can tell you this much. Russ better ride or Pawn is going to die in this league. You got A.J. Dillon, Pacheco. He's riding hard with some backs. I got some question marks. His receiving room is solid if they can stay healthy. Debo, Keenan, and DK. Irv Smith, is he finally going to break out like he did at Bama? I don't know. I hope so for his sake, but he's got Joe Burrow thrown to him now. Over on the other side, you got Kirk Thuggins. Yeah, I like me some Kirk Thuggins. Quarterback, show MVP, if you ask me. Versus Javonte Williams, another question mark. What's he going to do? Whenever he gets healthy, him with Sean Payton, that is going to be a sick combination between those two. Brian Robinson, I've heard a lot of things about how Antonio Gibson is going to step up this year and be the guy of choice in Washington because of EB's offense, but we'll have to see. You got old Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis is either going to have you 3 touchdowns for 100 yards or he's going to have you -6 yards for -3 points. I'm just saying, you never know with Gabe. We'll figure it out, but he's got a tough Jets defense that he's facing. Chris Olave, I think he has a field day on the Titans, honestly. Dawson Knox, nobody knows what his usage is going to be like. This game has got the most questions to it. I'm going to pick this game based off of one thing and one thing only, and that is the rear end of Sammy, Kirk Cousins. Yep, Kirk Thuggins is going to help him get this in the bag. He's going to go down to Tampa, and they're going to win this game, and I think they're going to win it big. And I think Sammy pulls this one off just by the skin of his teeth. So we're going to go with the Huss in this game. All right, my next game, Tux's Army versus a team has no name. Logan versus Tyler. Right now, this game is expected to be our biggest blowout of the day. We have Logan, who is going against Tyler. Logan is projected to win 124 to 106. And in this, we have Logan with the biggest blowout of the day, almost a 20-point margin. Tyler hurts for a couple reasons. One, he's got a lot of unproven with Khalil Herbert, Breece Hall. What's going to happen with the way that goes? Devontae Adams, Jimmy G, what's going to happen? Mark Andrews a little banged up. Pittman's got AR throwing to him. Tua could go for 1,000 points or go for 3 concussions. We don't know what Tua's going to do. WWTD, what would Tua do? We don't know. On the other side, you got Lamar Jackson, which is going to cancel out the Mark Andrews thing most likely. The running back room is going to hold it down for Logan with Mixon, Eckler, and he's got Big Hawkinson as a tight end who just signed that massive extension. I like Logan to win this one big. I think this matchup doesn't go well for Tyler. I think Logan and Tux's Army pulls us away by a landslide. Your next one is Stay on the Porch, Taylor versus Diggs in a Blanket and Joel. I had the honor of drafting for Diggs in a Blanket this year, and it was a good time. Thank you for letting me go for you, Joel. Right now, Joel is projected to win 119 to 116. Another close matchup. Let's break it down. Now, Joel's got some guys that I like, and it's because I drafted them. And, well, Taylor's got some guys I like too because he drafted them, I guess. But it's Josh Allen versus Dak Prescott. both projected to get about the same points in the quarterback room. You got James Cook, unproven. Kenneth Walker, what's going to happen with their carries and touches over there for Diggs in a blanket. Aaron Jones and Ramondre Stevenson. What's going to happen with their touches? Is A.J. Dillon and Zeke hurt that any? We don't know. The receiver room for Diggs in a blanket is nasty. You got Diggs, Devontae Smith, Mike Evans, and the starting rotation, along with Evan Ingram. Obviously, I'm going to be biased here after reading all this. I'm going to go with Diggs in a blanket. I'm going to go with Diggs in a blanket in this one by a long shot. I'm going to go with Diggs in a blanket, and that's what I'm going to do. I think he runs away with it here. I like the matchups of the guys that he's playing better. All right, sorry, Taylor. Next, we have Tuna Fish Sticks versus LB's Bad News Bears in the game of the week, in my opinion, that everyone has wanted me to predict.
Okay, listen to this. Oh, I love trash. Anything dirty or dingy or dusty. Anything ragged or rotten or rusty. Yes, I love trash. If you really want to see something trashy, look at this.
Now, right now, Next Gen Stats with Caesar Sportsbook has LB and the Bad News Bears projected to win 118-113. LB is going to win week 1. Yeah, Story, my daughter's right here. He's going to win week 1. Do you think LB's going to win week 1? No. Sorry, LB. That's just not how it's going to happen, according to her. So, here's what we have. We got a battle of the QBs with Herbert and Mahomes. You get Mahomes tonight, and you'll kind of see what he does. Kelsey being out, that kind of stings. I'm just going to say that much. It stings. You got Jacobs and Akers. You got Swift and Dobbins. You got a lot of unproven on the other side. With Dobbins and Swift. We'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see how the Eagles and Ravens go. I think the Ravens will utilize Dobbins a lot early. They're playing Houston. They're going to get him going. We'll just see what happens. You got Brandon Cooks, Michael Thomas, Renfro, Mike Williams, Darren Waller, Gerald Everett, Najee Harris, Gano. Man, it's like these guys picked a quarterback and just said, y'all go on and draft for me, somebody. If I am picking something in this game, what really hurts Eric is the fact that Cooper Kupp is sitting out. That hurts. What really hurts Eric is the fact that he's got some unproven on there. Michael Thomas could be hurt in 5 seconds. He could just walk up the stairs and be hurt. Renfro, Rutrow, no clue what he's going to do. Darren Waller, I think he's going to do great, but he's playing against the Cowboys, and I don't like that matchup. Sky Moore could go for a big night. We will know what Eric's going to do after tonight, but I'm predicting LB wins this game because of Najee Harris and Josh Jacobs, and it doesn't have to have a little Herbert on your side. So, hope you like your flavored Herbert, because the LB is going to start off 1-0 and put some of you guys under him for once. LB, I'll take that 20 you promised me for picking you. Just slide that my way, brother. All right, your next matchup and your last matchup of the week. They called me crazy. Lauren, the Dill, Patterson versus AI and not Iverson. Jake, the AI machine. With one of the most interesting draft stories, Jake let his whole team be predicted by AI. Why? No idea. But that's what he did. And that's what he's going to roll with. Right now, with our second biggest blowout of the day, Jake is projected. What is projected? Projected to win 120-103. That's a pretty big landslide. Let's go down and look. So according to NFL Next Gen Stats, that is what's going on. Powered by Caesar Sportsbook. Okay. Anyways, you got Aaron Rodgers versus Happy Endings Deshaun Watson. Just hope Deshaun makes it there and doesn't catch a massage for the game. Otherwise, he's going to be in some trouble. Now, the draft strategy for him was to go with the AI. Jake did. It had some interesting selections, and we'll just have to find out what it thinks. But right now, you got a lot. I got to be honest with you. LB's lineup is confusing. He's starting both Algier and Bijan Robinson. He's got Drake London. He's pretty much got the Atlanta Falcons. So if Atlanta loses, LB definitely loses. But he does have who I think is the number one fantasy player right now, Justin Jefferson, on his roster. So you can't count him out. Justin Jefferson can single-handedly beat a team, I think, some days. But looking at this with Tony Pollard, David Montgomery, who's going to get some goal line carries, Godwin, Myers, Garrett Wilson. The biggest weakness is tight end for Jake, I would say, in my opinion, and bye weeks. Tight end and bye weeks. But outside of that, I think Jake does win this by a landslide. It's not even close. And I hate to say that for Lauren. After looking at Lauren's roster, there's a chance that he very well could be the worst team in the league this season. I love you, man. Yeah, I love you. We've been buddies a long time, but if I'm looking at it, you could be very well the absolute worst team in the league this season. But let's go to the overall predictions. What do we think is going to happen? How do we think this is going to go? Let's figure this out. Now, we're not going to go through transactions and stuff this week. That's just not enough time to get everything done. But if we're looking at the overall predictions of what I think is going to happen, I think if you check the standings and the status of things, you've got your 4 conferences still. And man, it's a tough bargain. I will go with this year's champ being. Let's do this. I'm gonna go out there, go on a limb, and I'm gonna say that this year's champion will be, as long as he makes the right moves and the right decisions throughout the season, doesn't do anything crazy. I'm gonna say Logan Thigpen tucks his army, finds a way to weasel himself a championship this year. As long as Lamar stays healthy, I think Joe Mixon, Eckler, he's got quite the room. The only issue is he's got 2 Bengals receivers, so that kind of hurts in some factors. I think Logan will be a top 4 team for sure if he doesn't win it all. You can't ever count out Mr. Ken. I think Mr. Ken will also be a top team. His roster is set. He's got to figure out that flex option a little bit. I know Thielen being questionable, Kadarius Toney coming back kind of late. That's kind of scary. I think he starts Jawan Johnson at some point. Mr. Ken is up there. I would say Chubby Chasen. I think Zach's got a solid roster. If Miles Sanders plays well, I think Zach has one of the better all-around rosters. So I'll go Zach in my top 4. And let me give you one more for a top 4 here. And I will go. I mean, I don't want to be biased, but Diggs in the blanket. So I think your top 4 will be Zach, Mr. Ken, Logan, and Joel. That's my predictions. Kind of biased on one of them because I helped draft for him, but honestly, his team is pretty solid if you look at it compared to what his keepers and stuff. He had some good keepers with Diggs and Devontae Smith that put him ahead of the receiver curve a little bit there as far as grabbing guys. Now, the question that everybody wants to know, who's the bottom 4? Who could possibly be doing stand-up comedy at the end of the season as the punishment on a live stage in front of millions and millions of people, or just 12 of us? Well, let's see here. I think you can't discount the fact that the 2 bottom-tiered teams are probably playing each other this week in Eric Wallen's tuna fish sticks, especially if Cooper Kupp ends up out for season. That's going to really take a blow to him. LB, I've got to say, I don't want to say he's the worst by no means, because I don't think he's the worst, but I do think his team is going to depend heavy on if Cam Akers can finally do something for him. Honestly, if I was him, I'd probably put Najee Harris in my starting running back spot and put Juju in that flex for a couple weeks just to figure out what Cam does. But hey, whatever floats your boat. I think the next worst team is probably, I hate to do it to him. I love him, but I'm going to have to go with Jake having a bottom 4 team. I don't think the AI did him favors, and I think he kind of knows that in some ways too, because they started to go things. But the worst team in the league this year, I've kind of touched on this a minute ago, Lauren Patterson. Definitely just looking at your roster, I think it's the worst. Maybe you'll surprise some folks. Maybe the Falcons will surprise some folks. I don't know. We'll have to see. But yeah, so that's what we're going to predict there. That is our predictions for this week. That is our predictions for the season so far. We'll get a little bit more detailed into as we go. Just know that this is the Innsbrooke podcast for fantasy football. We're excited to be back. Hopefully I don't get canceled this time. We'll have to see what happens. And the biggest thing that we have booming is I did a duck race. Yes, a duck race. Now, let the duck race begin, and we will touch base with that in a minute.
様喧騒まみれこの街の演奏玉たまま一度ついておいで世界中魅了するほどに豪華なジャパン一番ジャンプランさうちらの出番テリヤキボーイズ in the place to be 見せてやろうオリジナル VIP
Many diamonds dangling Bag full of money we strangling Hate me, fry me, bake me, try me All the above cause you can't get in I don't want no problem Because me professional Make you shake your cats Thank you Haters take it personal
Like a Canada tight heads out now talk oh let's both not my
All right, our duck race has ended, and that is what's crazy. According to our duck race, this year's champion of the Innsbrooke Fantasy Football League will be That's What CD Said. Coming in second is Diggs in a Blanket. Third is ETN Phone Home. Fourth is The Huss. 5 is Mean Machine. 6 is Tux's Army. 7 is AI and Not Iverson. 8 is They Called Me Crazy. You just had a quick duck. That's about it because they calling you crazy. 9th is America's Team. 10th is Tuna Fish Sticks. 11th is Chubby Chasing. 12th is the Bad News Bears. 13th is Throw Some Debos on It. And 14th is You know. You didn't get your name said. If your name didn't get said, you're in the bottom 3, according to the duck race. My duckies cut me off there at the end, and I apologize. But yeah, so that's the grid of the race. Anyways, I tried to make this episode quick, tried to make it worthwhile. Just wanted to give you guys a little something. Until next time, guys, I am your boy, Shaun Bell, the outsider, the OG of Innsbrook. Yeah, the old head of the league. Coming at you live from my bonus room with Brett Favre. Wait, wrong way. Brett Favre. And we will see you next time on the Innsbrooke Fantasy Football Podcast.